In this video, you will learn how to thread and use the Singer Quantum Stylist. Select your thread color from our available options. You may also bring your own. Most of our sewing supplies are stored in the drawer on the sewing table. We keep our bobbins in these bobbin cases to keep them organized. Be sure to inspect your bobbin before using it to ensure that it is neatly wound, like this one. Improperly wound bobbins like this one will jam the machine and cause issues. If you need to wind your own bobbin, find an empty bobbin in the case. Turn the sewing machine on with the switch on the right side. Open the top of the sewing machine. Place your chosen spool on the spool holder, then place the spool cap on top of it. Ensure that the spool cap is wider than the spool and that the larger end is facing it. Following the numbered steps, wind the thread around the first plastic piece marked number 1, then around the piece marked number 2. Then wrap the thread around the tension disc as shown in the diagram. Thread the loose end of the thread up through the hole in the bobbin from the inside out. Place the bobbin on the bobbin winder and gently twist it around while holding the metal post until you hear it click into place. Then push the bobbin over to the right. This will put you into bobbin winding mode as indicated on the screen. While gently holding the loose end of the bobbin up, press your foot on the pedal to begin winding. After a few revolutions, you can cut the thread about 1 centimeter from the bobbin. Continue winding the bobbin until it has your desired amount of thread. Do not overwind it past the plastic. Cut the thread leading to the spool, then push the bobbin back to the left and remove it from the bobbin winder. Whenever you're doing anything with your hands near the needle of the machine, such as threading it, it is always a good idea to ensure that the machine is turned off. This can help prevent injuries in case you accidentally press the pedal. Let's thread the upper thread of the machine. Just like winding the bobbin, place the spool on the spool holder, ensuring that the thread flows in the same direction as the diagram. Place the spool cap on top. Wind the thread around the plastic piece marked number 1, but instead of winding it around the metal piece used when winding a bobbin, guide it through the channel going in the opposite direction, then down the front of the machine. Once you guide the thread around the bend marked with the number 4, take each side of the thread in your hands and gently tug the thread upwards until it snaps into place. Continue guiding the thread back up and around the next bend on the top of the machine, then back down the front of the machine again. Pass the thread through the small metal bar above the needle. You can either pass the thread through the eye of the needle by hand or using the needle threader. To use the needle threader, press downwards on the lever about halfway. Wrap the thread around the hook, then press the lever down all the way. If the lever feels like it gets stuck, the needle may not be in its highest position. Turn the hand wheel away from you until it raises. The needle threader should come down around the needle with a small, 2-pronged metal piece. Press the thread between these 2 prongs and pull it towards the back of the machine. Release the lever. The threader should pull a small loop of thread through the eye. Pull this loop until you're able to pull the loose end of the thread through the eye. Now let's thread the bottom thread. Press the black button next to the bobbin case and remove the plastic cover. Ensure that the bobbin is winding counterclockwise. Place the bobbin in the case. While holding a finger on the bobbin, draw the thread underneath the small metal bar. Turn the machine back on. Hold the top thread gently out to the left. Press the needle position button. This will lower the needle to its lowest position. Press it again. The needle will come back to its highest position, and it will draw the lower thread up through the needle plate. Turn the machine off since you'll be grabbing the thread with your fingers. Pull the bottom thread and tuck both it and the upper thread under the foot, with the upper thread going into the gap in the foot if there is one. Replace the plastic bobbin case cover. The most common stitch you will likely use is the straight stitch. We recommend testing your stitches out on a scrap piece of your project fabric to ensure that everything looks correct before starting your final piece. The Quantum Stylist will have a straight stitch selected by default when you turn it on. When you're ready to sew, slide your material underneath the presser foot in its raised position, then lower it using the presser foot lever. Press down on the pedal to begin sewing. Sew 3 or 4 stitches, then stop. We will now use back stitching to lock your stitches in place. This essentially replaces the need for tying knots. To backstitch, Press and hold the backstitch button. You do not need to depress the pedal. The sewing machine will sew backwards for as long as you hold the button. You can also press it once to sew a singular backstitch. Continue sewing your project. You want to have your hands on the fabric to gently guide it, but you don't want to shove it through. The feed dogs will push the fabric through on their own. You can adjust the maximum sewing speed by using the speed slider. When you reach the end, use the same backstitching technique to lock your final stitches into place. Raise the presser foot,
Raise the needle,
then pull your project out to the side. You can cut the thread with scissors or with the built-in cutter on the side of the machine. You can adjust individual stitches to suit your needs. Press the button underneath the stitch length and width icon to open the menu. When sewing a straight stitch, the adjustment arrows on the left will adjust the needle's position. When sewing more complex stitches, this setting changes the width of your stitches. The plus and minus signs allow you to adjust the length of your stitches. We will go over the difference between stitch length and width in a later video. Press the back arrow to return to the previous screen. We will go over what tension is in a later video, but if you find that you need to adjust it on the Quantum Stylist, follow these steps. Press the button under the tension icon to open the menu. Pressing the auto button will automatically select tension for the selected stitch. Pressing the plus and minus buttons will increase and decrease the tension. Close the menu by pressing the back button. The Quantum Stylist has a variety of stitch options. You can view these options and their numbers by opening the top cover. The most frequently used stitches have shortcut buttons next to the screen, but you can also access the other options by pressing these two arrow keys to scroll through them. Press the button underneath your desired stitch. You'll notice that each stitch has a corresponding icon on its screen. This represents the foot needed to sew that stitch. To change feet, you'll first need to release the old foot using the foot lever on the back of the shank. Select your desired foot from the presser foot set in the box in the sewing drawer. These feet are only for use with the Quantum Stylist. Brief explanations of what each foot does are listed in the individual compartments. Carefully position the foot so that the bar on the foot is directly below the shank. Lower the presser foot down onto the foot. If you aligned it right, the foot should snap into place and raise with the shank when you raise the presser foot lever.